Greetings, travelers, adventurers, and fellow keepers of the lake. Today I got a hot take for you. Maybe it's not that hot, but I have a semi-hot take for you. How the f did we go from imagining things from sticks and stones to this? Like, when we were little, this stick that I had in my hand, this was my friend, my weapon of choice, my gun, my staff, my snake pet, my girl. The imagination of a child is infinite, right? You go outside with your friend, and even if you're living in the city, your park is a forest. Your neighbor might be a dragon. I literally know a guy that thought his neighbor, she was a dragon, right? You are filled with so many interesting stories and so many interesting movies, things, pop culture, and you interpret that in your own way. You internalize those things. You want to repeat those things, to live out how it is to feel those things. And that's an integral part of growing up, right? And then you come to a certain age where you're an adult and you want to play adult things and adult games, so you end up playing a game that's designed to get you hooked. The most successful games are the ones that put you in a samey environment, give you something that you're familiar with, or as you play you get familiar to a certain point where there's nothing else to get familiar with. It's just getting good. You just get to a point where get good is what you're aiming for, right? Then you have RPGs, right? Okay, they are not competitive, they are still trying to hook you. A very good RPG hits all the right things, and you want to keep playing it, and you want to feel like you have endless choice. And that's my problem with this. They all want you to feel like you have an endless choice while still giving you prompts like press X to interact, or you come to a door and it's impossible to open it. You have invisible walls, you have to subvert your expectations. You just have to really suspend your disbelief. And that's because your options are really limited. And my problem with this is that those games are communicating with us through prompts. And for a player to have incentive to click on something and get the prompt, you basically have to trick him to do it by pulling a lot of little gamey techniques, psychological tricks that will make their dopamine receptors fire up. So there's a term in general like gamifying things, and I know that it can mean a lot of things, but in software development, for example, and trust me, I'm not even working as a game developer, I'm just like still having this term thrown around because gamifying something literally translates to making it more addictive. Like you have an application that's for, I don't know, filling your, well, not tax reports, but like buying your mobile service, for example, and your service provider gives you like some plans, but if you buy this one you get some reward, la-di-da-di, you get some little stars and you are more likely to click it. The statistics, the analysis, it really shows that you are more likely to click it. We end up with a lot of people that need to see a little star, a little X, a little button to do anything. And your imagination is gone. So my problem is I started DMing a couple of years ago, and I bring my friends to my house and I plan out an amazing battle. It was a shitty battle, but I plan out an amazing battle, and I imagine my players like it was on a ship, so I imagine my players cutting ropes and flying around and throwing daggers and all that cool stuff. They just say I move and I hit. Of course, yeah. Do you want to do anything else? Well, what can I do? Says my player. Well, anything you want. And that's the problem when you say you can do everything you want. It's choice paralysis. Because you are so used to having finite choices in all the games you play, you cannot even conceive how unlimited choice looks like. Like, they have a problem where if you didn't describe every little detail in the room, they don't think it exists. They're not willing to ask if it exists. That's their reality. This, what they have in front of me, that's everything, and I have to work by doing anything. I know there is a concept called bennies in Savage Worlds, right? And there is a concept called inspiration tokens in 5e. I've never played 5e, so I don't know how that functions there. But in Savage Worlds, you basically get a couple of bennies at the beginning of your game, and you can use them to reroll stuff, cheat death, and maybe influence the story a bit. And I know Pathfinder 2e does this with hero points. We're still on 1E Pathfinder. It's actually holding my light here. I mean, putting it to good use, I would say. And of course, as a man whose job it was to make some very boring bureaucratic gamified and sell that to people, I wanted to use that knowledge to train my players to interact with the world and just detox their brains from games by making the same mechanisms that those games used to make you addicted. Yay. So we took the concept of inspiration tokens, but that's how we call them, and it's basically these things, just like small pirate tokens I found online. Basically, whenever you go into roleplay or you do something that's more on the side of creative thinking, out of the box thinking, any behavior that I wanted to encourage, I would give out an inspiration token. And at first it was just, you get one reroll. And then somewhat naturally, it just morphed into like this meta currency that you can use to bargain with the DM. And I really love this. Like, we use these as literally like, go make me a coffee, Mr. DM host man. And if they give me enough tokens, well, I will go and make them a coffee, of course. Yeah, that's an example of how we do it. And you can use them to push the narrative in your favor. And at first, I said you could use these only for rerolls. Only for example, Savage Worlds has a soak mechanic to soak the damage. Well, why not? You have a soak. You can boost your skill check or swap one place in the initiative track or things like that, like anything. But I started with just you get a reroll. And as we used inspiration tokens, I started adding the benefits of those tokens and they became more valuable. But the players became more skilled in acquiring them. So as the effort needed to acquire the token was bigger, you had to be more creative, you had to be more in character, playing more D&D or TTRPG, and it ended up being a token of so much power that the players would collect them, collect four, for example, to make one thing happen in the game. For example, we all give our tokens and we want the key to fall out of the guard's pocket. And I would say, yeah, that's possible, but I wouldn't necessarily always give them the ability to influence the story. But hey, sometimes it's harmless. Just let them do it. Sometimes it's even very important. They won't derail your story. That means that they are very engaged in your story. So if your players donate all the tokens that they have, they're basically sacrificing resources. They expect some form of a reward for their resource investment. Give it to them. Just give it. Just say yes. And I think that's wonderful, a wonderful dynamic. And at one point, then you will feel that those tokens could not be acquired that easily anymore because the players are very good at being their characters. They are very good at knowing how to think in an RPG sense. So what do? Well, you stop giving them, you start giving them only for like very epic things, but you start gamifying some of the things in your world. Like your bosses start having predictable algorithms, like the algorithm monster AI that you can see here in this video. Like, for example, you add AIs to monsters that are predictable, and you just have your players notice a pattern. And I would do this just for bosses or some like mini boss monsters, not the minions. You add the concepts of timers, of like things that are happening in a certain sequence. You add sometimes some extra meta currencies that you then remove. For example, how many stones of light have you collected in this magical cave? If you have 10, you can pass only through the golden door, and if you have 20, you can pass through, I don't know, a purple door. You add things like that, like certain mechanics that have stages, that have stuff from video games, to make it more interesting. But your players will not forget how to look at things from the perspective of having unlimited choice. And that's the whole point. So yeah, I wanted to share that little nugget of knowledge, and wow, nuggets of knowledge. Yeah, that definitely. I don't know why my channel is being oriented towards nuggets that much, but nugget of knowledge that I wanted to share. But yeah, going strong, it's important to stay creative, it's important to keep on moving, keep on spreading love, happiness, creativity, beer, all that good stuff. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Farewell, keepers.